Popeyes chicken tenders and fries. That's what I wanted one Friday evening, but I didn't feel like leaving the house. So I made it myself, and now you can too with this pretty simple copycat recipe. So simple you'll be able to hold your head high when you're done, and best of all, those picky eaters in your life that only eat chicken tenders will hail you as their new chicken king or queen. Before I get started, I just want to mention our Patreon link down in the description. $1 a month is all we ask for, and it helps us keep this channel going, especially in these here inflated times. So as I said, one Friday I wanted Popeyes. Normally Fridays is when I do test cooks for other recipes, and then Saturdays is when I film the actual poor choices, whatever it's going to be that week. But this time I decided to bring you all into my testing phase so you can see that I don't know what I'm doing half the time, but I do know what I want to taste. First up, I've got 1.5 pounds of chicken tenderloins. We're gonna give these a nice little bath and a simple marinade. I've got 2 cups of buttermilk, about 2 teaspoons of hot sauce. I'm also adding in 1 teaspoon of accent, otherwise known as MSG. This is gonna punch up the flavor, so don't skip this unless you have a super reaction to MSG. 2 tablespoons of a Creole seasoning that I made for the po' boy video. I'll link that below, but you can use any Creole Cajun seasoning that you want. I got it all mixed up. I put my chicken in there and I let it refrigerate for about 5 hours. You could do this in as little as 30 minutes, but the ideal situation is to do these overnight. The longer you let it sit in that marinade, the better it's going to be. Also, just because I like spiciness, I would add probably another 2 teaspoons of hot sauce in there, or you could throw in a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. I didn't know exactly what the spice level was going to be, and the Creole seasoning I made isn't super spicy, so these are going to come out on the mild side. But just FYI for those of you who want it a little bit more spicier, cayenne, hot sauce, anything that you want, just really spice it up. I got my handy dandy fry cutter here. Saves a lot of time, but you can also hand cut these fries. I'm using 2 russet potatoes. Just run those through and directly into some cold water for 30 minutes. Midway through the 30 minutes, I'll empty out the water and pour fresh water in. This way we can get rid of the starch, and it's important to get them in the water as soon as you cut them so that way they don't start browning on you. Once 30 minutes have passed, get your fries out and get them onto a tray with paper towels and dry them as good as possible. Water and hot oil do not mix, so be very thorough here with this step. Now I'm using my Dutch oven today to fry everything. Normally I use my deep fryer, but I feel like it's easier for demonstration purpose to use this. I'll regret that by the end of the video, of course. So we're going to blanch our fries first. I did an initial fry at around 300 to 325 for about 3 minutes. Again, this process is called blanching, and it's important in the double fry process. You'll know they're good when they go from shiny to matte. Take them out and onto a cooling rack or a tray with paper towels and just let them hang out. Back to the chicken. For the dry flour, I've got 3 cups of flour, a big heaping teaspoon of a Creole seasoning, a teaspoon of accent, a tablespoon of garlic powder, and a tablespoon of onion powder. Now, the garlic and onion are technically already in the Creole seasoning that I made, but I want those flavors to be punched up some more, which is why I'm adding them. Don't forget to add a tablespoon of salt. Again, if you want spiciness, throw in some cayenne pepper to kick it up, maybe a teaspoon's worth. Give it all a mix and divide it into 2 bowls. For the wet batter, I've got 3 eggs. Give them a scramble, 1 tablespoon of Creole seasoning, 1 cup of flour, and if you're wondering, I'm using all-purpose flour here, and about 1 cup of club soda. Now, I was prepared to use 2, just in case I need a little bit more. What we're really looking for is just the consistency of pancake batter, and this club soda is going to really help give us like a light, airy breading is the best way I can describe it. Mix all that up until, again, it is the consistency of a pancake batter, and then divide that into 2 bowls as well. Now, there's a chance that you're going to need more of the batter and flour mixture for the chicken than you will for the fries, so I would even double this recipe just to make sure I'm not running out, but it all depends on how much chicken and how many fries you want to make. I feel like 1 russet potato equals a large fry, and I don't remember how many chicken tenderloins I had, but I was really stretching this amount, so just FYI here. Alright, after bumping my oil temp up to 350 and letting it stabilize, by the way, I'm using peanut oil, which is really great for frying, but if you don't have peanut oil, you can use canola or vegetable. I got my chicken out of the marinade, into the flour, then into the wet batter, and back into the flour. Make sure you give the chicken a good squeeze when you're putting it in that flour so you can get everything coated, and it'll help create those like fun little edges that you'll be familiar with Popeyes chicken. Repeat the process for all the chicken and then let it hang out for like 10 to 15 minutes so the eventual breading can kind of hydrate and absorb all those flavors. We'll drop our chicken into the oil, of course gently away from us, and let them rock for about 10 minutes. Your oil is probably gonna drop in temperature, so just be ready to kind of crank that back up. I used a probe to make sure that they were reading at 165, but you can also just wait for them to turn golden brown and start to float at the top. One note, if your chicken is coming out super dark, and this may not be for this recipe, but maybe you fried chicken before and you've always wondered why, it may be because you're using too much paprika or cayenne or just any type of red seasoning. The red seasonings tend to bloom in the hot oil and then they start to turn dark. So that's why I initially kept the cayenne and all that stuff out, because I wanted the chicken to look a certain way. But at the end of the day, it's gotta taste good. So if you want that spice, go for it. I did these in 2 batches because crowding the oil will mess with your temperature. And I like using probes because I don't want to serve anyone undercooked chicken. Once our chicken is done, I pop them into the oven, set at 170 degrees. I'm not sure how low yours goes, but get it to its lowest setting. And that's gonna keep them warm while we work on the fries. The fries are easy. I put them into a bowl, toss them with some of the dry flour, then I toss them into that wet batter that we had. Not the same as the chicken batter, the other bowl. You don't want to cross-contaminate. Get them coated as much as possible, and here is where I messed up. I didn't allow my oil to come back to temperature because I was in a rush at this point to finish because I had other things to do that day. These would have been better cooked in my deep fryer is my only note. But once they are battered, toss them in the oil between 350 and 375 and cook them until golden brown, somewhere around 7 minutes. It all depends on how many and how hot the oil is. When they were done, I put them in a bowl and tossed them in with some more of the Creole seasoning. Popeyes doesn't do this, but I just felt like I just really felt like they needed it. Serve immediately. By the way, I made a quick dipping sauce, just some smoky barbecue and a little bit of ranch mixed together. Give it a try, it'll blow your mind. And that, my friends, is Popeyes chicken tenders and fries on the mild side. Don't be afraid to go spicy. I hope you enjoy, and despite some missteps along the way, these were really, really good. I would absolutely make them again. So give it a try and let me know how yours came out and what you did to make it your very own special recipe. Poor Choices Kitchen, we'll see you here next time.